Fats, oils, and greases are the things that we don't think about that are going down our pipes. Any olive oils, vegetable oils, anything that you are rinsing off in your sink and it's going down the pipes, they have to go somewhere. For the City of Lansing, essentially you've got older infrastructure, so older buildings, older pipes, older roads, and that coincides with things not traveling as easily to our wastewater treatment plant, which then goes out to the river, and we don't want that to go into the river because obviously that hurts the flora and the fauna of the City of Lansing, our Grand Rivers and our Red Cedar Rivers. Fog in the city is more of a reactionary issue, and so how to make it more of a proactive, looking at our industrial pretreatment and seeing how we can build it in from the restaurants and food trucks to educate and do more outreach was the problem that was presented to me. What's great about students, they bring in a fresh perspective, especially when you're working with, on my floor, city engineers and permit staff and administrators. They're kind of in their siloed, like, this is how we do things, and this is the only way we can do things, because we all tend to go that way as a human. But then when you have a student go, well, have you thought about this, or have you tried this, or ask questions, it does make someone stop and pause and redirect and think, oh, maybe we could do something, and maybe it won't be as challenging or as expensive to do it that way. Instead of it being from that resident and local government where there can be kind of a friction point sometimes, it's a student, this is just a person that wants to know more.
I'm Grace. I'm a second-year student in the University of Michigan School of Information. So we began addressing the problem by interviewing stakeholders. So we had the opportunity to talk to a lot of stakeholders in the city government. In this process, a lot of things we learned is from asking a lot of questions. We asked about the underground sewer systems, and the city engineer opened up a map of the underground sewer systems of Lansing, how they're designed. And it was fascinating because it was like a whole underground empire. I think especially in projects in public sectors, these are things that are actually in our daily lives and in our community. They're so close, but just being a citizen, sometimes we don't get to see what things actually look like or how much people are putting into it. But then asking a lot of questions, communicating a lot, gives us a better picture. So one of our biggest challenges was that it was really difficult to recruit restaurant owners. We had to do a lot of improvising. What we ended up doing is we went to farmers markets, festivals, and restaurants just to meet them in person, buy food from them, and chat with them a little bit on their knowledge on how they are handling fats, oils, and grease in their everyday lives. Through our research and talking to users and interviewing stakeholders, we learned that actually for a lot of restaurant owners, they have grease traps. Grease traps are there, but they're just outdated and they need to be maintained frequently. And if they can keep it frequently and keep it maintained, it would reduce the amount of fats, oils, and grease that goes down the sewer pipelines. The more our knowledge expanded, the more the problem expanded as well. We would initially think that, oh, you just send more people to inspect. That seems easy, but actually there's not enough staff to do that. So for our team, in the end, we came up with a FOG program. So there are parts where we give recommendations on ordinances, recycling systems, educating the public, and more on information access.
2 students took 5 years of data of sewer backups, and then they mapped it throughout the city. Instead of our operations and maintenance staff having to go, oh, we just happen to notice that we've gotten 10 calls from the same location. Now we're able to say, oh, this is interesting. There's a trend here. And then the other piece were some prototypes that could be used by the businesses and food trucks that create a profile and essentially almost like a tracking system for them to remind them of how often to clean their grease traps. And it would also be used on the back end by our staff, so public service staff, as well as our economic development and planning staff that do the inspections when restaurants open, so that we can make sure that they're staying on track instead of, again, being reactionary. I don't think as a city we do the best about communicating to our residents like, by the way, this is an issue. Why should they care? Because there's so many other things that they have to care about, and our brains get overloaded with every possible thing. I think that's where it's so important to keep working with students.